52.
I'm
Okay,
63.
63.
I'm 65.
I'm 65. যারা আছো তাদের রোল নাম্বার অলরেডি মেনশন করে দেখা যাচ্ছে। ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। আর যারা নাই তাদেরকে বলে দিও এই পার্সেন্টেজ গুলি আমরা কিন্তু কাউন্ট করছি, ঠিক আছে? দিস ইজ ইউর ক্লাস অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স। যেহেতু আমরা ক্লাস রেগুলার ক্লাস আমরা ওভাবে নিতে পারছি না, অনলাইন ক্লাস পার্সেন্টেজ দিয়ে আমরা তোমাদেরকে জাজ করব। এখানে যদি তোমরা 75% পার্সেন্টেজ অ্যাচিভ করতে না পারো তাহলে ইউ ক্যান সিট ফর ফার্স্ট প্রপ এক্সামিনেশন, বিকজ তোমাদের এক্সামিনেশন উইল held at proper time. Your first prop examination in 2021 in May 2021. Regular first prop examination will be held on May 2021. So your class percentage is very important. 75%, without 75% class percentage, you cannot be able to sit for first prop examination. Please remember this thing. This is very important thing, okay? Okay, we are studying about respiratory physiology. We'll continue this thing. In previous class, we have studied about the mechanism of respiration. Now, see here, for MCQ examination, this chart, I have taken this chart from Ganong, table 35-5, biologically active substances metabolized by the lungs. Several times this question came in MCQ exam, the substances synthesized and used in the lung. Which substances synthesized and used in the lungs? Only one thing, see here, surfactant. You have to remember this chart because several times from this chart MCQ question came. So this is very important for you. Synthesized and used in the lungs, surfactant. Please remember this thing. Synthesized and used in the lungs, surfactant. That is, lungs can synthesize surfactant and used surfactant. So only one thing, synthesized and used in the lungs. Number 2, synthesized or stored and released into the blood. Lung can synthesized or stored and released into the blood, which is things? Prostaglandins, histamine, and kallikrein. 3 things. You have to remember here 3 things. Prostaglandins, histamine, and kallikrein, they are synthesized or stored or released into the blood. That is, from lungs they can synthesized, stored, or released into the blood prostaglandins, histamine, and kallikrein. Okay, now partially removed from the blood, prostaglandin, bradykinin, adenine nucleotides, serotonin, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine. Activated in the lungs, you know that from pulmonary capillary endothelium, angiotensin converting enzyme, that is ACE, comes from pulmonary capillary endothelium of the lungs, which converted angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2 by the help of angiotensin converting enzyme, which comes from pulmonary capillary endothelium of the lungs. So activated in the lungs, angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, activated by which enzyme? Angiotensin converting enzyme that comes from pulmonary capillary endothelium of the lungs. You have to remember this table because of MCQ question, okay? Now, for written exam and also for equally important for Viva exam, what do you mean by intrapleural pressure? Already several times I mentioned this word, this sentence, intrapleural pressure, intraalveolar pressure, in case of mechanism when I have discussed with you mechanism of respiration, that is inspiration and during expiration. What do you mean by intrapleural pressure? Intrapleural pressure, that is, pleural pressure lies within the parietal pleura and visceral pleura. Visceral pleura মানে কি? যেটা lungs এর গায়ে attached with, adhere with the viscera, that is with lungs. This is visceral pleura. আর parietal pleura টা হচ্ছে chest wall এর দিকে থাকে, and in between parietal and visceral pleura there is a thin space. This is called intrapleural cavity. Pressure lies within the intrapleural space. This is called intrapleural pressure. So see, it is the pressure of the fluid in the thin space between the lung pleura and the chest wall pleura. Lung pleura means visceral pleura and the chest wall pleura means parietal pleura. Okay, the pressure of the fluid within this thin space, there is a thin layer of fluid present, because I mentioned you that this thin layer of fluid helps to movement, easy movement of the lungs. That is, because of presence of this fluid layer, lungs can easily move during inspiration and expiration. That is, it can easily move upwards and downwards without any friction with the chest wall. That is very important. This fluid layer is very important for us for easy movement of the lung. Normal intrapleural pressure at the beginning of inspiration -5 centimeter of water. Already you knew these things in basic mechanism of respiration. I have discussed with you that normal intrapleural pressure at resting condition, that is at the beginning of the inspiration, it is always -5 centimeter of water. তাহলে at the beginning or resting condition intrapleural pressure is always -5 centimeter of water. Okay, during quiet inspiration, not forceful, I am discussing during quiet inspiration, what is happening? Contraction of the inspiratory muscles, you know that very well, that during quiet inspiration, contraction of inspiratory muscles occurs, chest expansion occurs, chest wall pulls the parietal pleura away from the visceral pleura, increases intrathoracic volume. That is, decrease intrapleural pressure. Always intrapleural pressure becomes more negative during inspiration. If you want to draw air from the atmosphere, of course you have to create negativity within the alveoli, within the lungs. Otherwise air will not enter into the lungs. You have to create more negativity. Okay, at resting condition, intrapleural pressure -5 centimeter. See here, during inspiration, when air entry occurs from atmosphere to the lungs, that time decrease intrapleural pressure. That is, it goes more negative direction. That is more from -5 centimeter to -7.5 centimeter of water. That is more negative direction because you have to draw air within the lungs. So you have to create more negativity. From -5 centimeter to water, it goes towards the -7.5. This is basic thing. That is, at the resting condition, always intrapleural pressure -5 centimeter of water, but during inspiration, whenever air needs to go inside the lungs from atmosphere or from environment, it goes towards the more negative direction. That is, from -5 centimeter of water to -7.5 centimeter of water. This is real thing. This is the change of intrapleural pressure during inspiration. This is very, very important viva question also. Examiner may ask you, tell me intrapleural pressure at resting condition and during inspiration, or at the beginning of the inspiration how much, and at the ending of the inspiration how much. That is, at the beginning -5 centimeter of water, at ending of inspiration it will go -7.5 centimeter of water. That is more negative direction. Okay, this is according to your textbook. This is according to your textbook. But 26th edition Gannon, it is mentioned as intrapleural pressure at resting condition -2.5 centimeter. Please students write down this thing. According to 26th edition, that is latest edition Gannon, it is mentioned as intrapleural pressure at resting condition -2.5 centimeter of water, and at the ending of the inspiration it goes towards the -6, that is -2.5 millimeter to the mercury to the -6 millimeter of mercury. In Gannon, it is mentioned as millimeter of mercury. That is, at the beginning of inspiration. At the beginning of inspiration, it is -2.5 millimeter of mercury, and at the ending of inspiration, intrapleural pressure goes towards the -6 millimeter of mercury. In 26th edition, latest edition Gannon, it is mentioned as like this. Okay, write down this thing also for MCQ exam. But we will study according to Guyton. According to Guyton, examiner always like to hear according to Guyton, that is -5 centimeter of water to it goes towards the -7.5 centimeter of water. That is more negative direction during inspiration. Now already I am discussing quiet inspiration, but what will happen in during forceful inspiration? During forceful inspiration, that is forceful inspiration, which muscle involved? First you have to mention the diaphragm. The diaphragm. Okay, the diaphragm. Then Then roll 12. Israt, please tell me, forceful inspiration, which is muscle involved in during forceful inspiration? First, the
Ma'am,
diaphragm.
yeah, the diaphragm, তারপর হচ্ছে the ma'am external intercostal muscle, then হচ্ছে
Hmm?
ma'am sternocleidomastoid,
Yes.
anal can anal yes,
Serratus
anal
anterior,
মাস্টারটার পরে কি স্যারাটাস? এগুলি বলো আগে।
serratus anterior, and
Serratus
serratus
scalenos.
anterior ma'am.
হ্যাঁ, স্যারাটাস অ্যান্টেরিয়র। তারপরে কি আছে? আর কোনো মাসল নাই? স্ক্যালিনি ছিল
Ma'am,
কিনা বলো?
জি ma'am.
তো একদম লিস্ট, মানে কোনো এত বেশি নেগলিজিবল, এটা রোল ভেরি মাচ নেগলিজিবল। Why are you uttering this word? This is last thing. You have to mention here serratus anterior muscle, sternocleidomastoid, serratus anterior scalene. Then lastly, you can tell here elanese. Its role is very poor, so you have to tell here lastly. Okay, last
জি
thing.
ma'am.
লাস্টটা ফার্স্টে বলার চেষ্টা করবে না। তাহলে কি বলতে হবে? sternocleidomastoid, serratus anterior, scalene, then elanese. Okay, see here, during forceful inspiration, intrapleural pressure becomes more negative. That is during quiet, see here, during quiet inspiration, it comes -5 centimeter of water to -7.5. But during forceful inspiration, this is very important MCQ question. During forceful inspiration, intrapleural pressure becomes more negative. That is, it will reach -40 centimeter of water. This is very important MCQ question. According to Samsung Rice, it will reach -40 centimeter of water, but according to Guyton, it is mentioned as -30 centimeter of water. Please write down, everybody. Write down this thing, everybody. According to Samsung Rice, it is written as -40 centimeter of water. But according to your textbook guidance, it is written as -30 centimeter of water, which causes more inflow of air. During forceful inspiration, intrapleural pressure becomes more negative. It will reach -40 centimeter of water or -30 centimeter of water. দুইটাই কারেক্ট, ঠিক আছে? আচ্ছা, নাও during quiet expiration, that is, quiet expiration is passive process. No action is required for expiration, quiet expiration. So no muscle is involved in during quiet expiration. Only relaxation of the inspiratory muscle decreases intrathorax volume, increase intrapleural pressure. That is, it will return back to the normal condition. That is, during quiet inspiration, it goes -5 to -7.5 centimeter of water. Again, it returned back -7.5 to -5 centimeter of water. During quiet expiration, normal quiet expiration, just it will return back from -7.5 to -5 centimeter of water. That is normal resting condition. But during forceful expiration, very important for MCQ exam, during forceful expiration, intrapleural pressure greatly increases. Normally, during expiration, intrapleural pressure normally it will come normal condition, that is from -7.5 to -5. But forceful expiration, intrapleural pressure greatly increases and becomes more positive. That is +30 centimeter of water according to Samsung Rights. But according to Guyton, it is written as +20 centimeter of water. Please write down, everybody. +20 centimeter of water according to Guyton. Okay, write down this thing. Two things here. I mentioned here -40 or -30 centimeter of water. Here I mentioned +30 centimeter of water or +20 centimeter of water. Okay, remember this thing for MCQ purpose. Now, intra-alveolar pressure. Already I have mentioned in my previous class, intra-alveolar pressure, changes of intra-alveolar pressure during inspiration and during expiration. Normally, see here, in inspiration, expansion of the lung causes decreases of intra-alveolar pressure from 0 centimeter of water to -1 centimeter of water. That is normal intra-alveolar pressure at resting stage, always 0 centimeter of water, which is equal to 1 atmospheric pressure, that is 760 millimeter of mercury. Please write down, everybody. Normal at resting condition, intra-alveolar pressure is 0 centimeter of water. Normally, at resting condition, intra-alveolar pressure is 0 centimeter of water, which is equal to 1 atmospheric pressure, that is 1 atmospheric pressure, that is 760 millimeter of mercury, equal to, which is equal to 760 millimeter of mercury. This is, you have to remember this basic thing. Always during inspiration, always remember one point: all pressure decreases. All pressure decreases during inspiration. Always that in minus 5 centimeter to minus 7 water, it goes towards the minus 1 centimeter of water, that is decreases. So during inspiration, intrapleural pressure decrease from 0 centimeter of water to minus 1 centimeter of water. But reverse thing happen during expiration. In expiration, elastic recoil tendency of the lungs causes contraction of the lung. As a result, intra-alveolar pressure increases and becomes plus 1 centimeter of water. Plus 1. The expiration, just reverse thing will happen. Minus 1 centimeter of water during inspiration, it goes 0 to minus 1, and during expiration, it goes minus 1 centimeter of water to plus 1 centimeter of water, because you have to remove air from inside to outside, that is from the lungs to the environment. আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি অনেকে চলে যাচ্ছে, ওরা জানে না যে এই ক্লাসগুলি আর will not repeat this class. We will not repeat this theory class. ঠিক আছে, এই ক্লাসগুলি আর রিপিট হবে না, সুযোগ নাই। মে মাসে তোমাদের পরীক্ষা, সুতরাং এই ক্লাসগুলি রিপিট করার সময় আমাদের নাই। After opening of your college, we'll take only item, card final, term final, and practical class. Will not take this lecture class. Okay, will not repeat this theory class. তাহলে তোমরা কিন্তু মিস করে ফেলছো, যারা চলে যাচ্ছে তারা এগুলি মিস করবে। ওকে, now this is very important written question. Draw a level pressure change curve during inspiration and expiration. This is the pressure change curve from your textbook figure 37-2. Several times this question came. This written question came: draw and level pressure change curve during inspiration and expiration. See here, inspiration. During inspiration, this is inspiration portion, this is expiration portion. During inspiration, what is happening during inspiration? See here, intrapleural pressure, I mentioned you, from minus 5 it will go towards the minus 7.5 centimeter of water. During inspiration it will be more negative, but during expiration it will return back to the normal condition, normal resting condition, that is from minus 7.5 to again it goes towards the minus 5 centimeter of water. This is changed intrapleural pressure during inspiration and expiration. Now alveolar pressure at resting condition, intra-alveolar pressure remains 0 centimeter of water, but during inspiration it goes more negative direction, that is minus 1 centimeter of water. Then during expiration it goes more positive condition. roll 64 চলে যাচ্ছ কেন? সাথী চলে গেছে, আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি। I'll remember this thing. আচ্ছা দেখো, ডিউরিং এক্সপিরেশন ইন্ট্রাঅ্যালভুলার প্রেসার -1 থেকে চলে যাবে কোথায়? +1 সেন্টিমিটার অফ ওয়াটার। ঠিক আছে, ইন্ট্রাঅ্যালভুলার প্রেসার। আচ্ছা, এখন here written transpulmonary pressure. What do you mean by transpulmonary pressure? You have to draw this thing. See here, in between, that is pressure. It is a pressure difference between intrapleural pressure and intra-alveolar pressure. The pressure lies between the intrapleural and intra-alveolar pressure. This is transpulmonary pressure. So you have to know about transpulmonary pressure. What is transpulmonary pressure? It is the difference between intra-alveolar and intrapleural pressure. It is the difference between intra-alveolar, see here, intra-alveolar and intrapleural pressure এর মাঝখানে যে প্রেসারটা, এটা হচ্ছে কি ট্রান্সপালমোনারি প্রেসার। যারা চলে যাচ্ছ আসছো এসব করছো, আমি সবই তো দেখতে পাচ্ছি, এবং আমি রোল নম্বরগুলিকে আমি স্টার মার্ক দিয়ে রাখবো। এই স্টার মার্ক দিয়ে রাখবো এবং they will never pass in first prop exam. Please remember this thing. I'm seriously telling this thing. যারা ক্লাস করবে না, যারা আসবে চলে যাবে, এটাকে একটা তোমরা মনে করছো যে জোকস। নো, ইট ইজ নট জোকস। এই থিওরি ক্লাসগুলো আই উইল নট রিপিট দিস ক্লাস अगेन। এবং যারা চলে যাবে তারা কিন্তু এগুলি বলতে পারবে না। আমরা উইল টেক আফটার ওপেনিং ইউর কলেজ, আমরা অনলি উইল টেক ইউর আইটেম, কার্ড ফাইনাল এন্ড টার্ম ফাইনাল। সো you have no chance otherwise doing our lecture class. আমাদের ক্লাসগুলি কিন্তু তোমাদের কন্টিনিউ করতে হবে এবং করতে হবে সিনসিয়ারলি। Transpulmonary pressure. It is the difference between intraalveolar and intrapleural pressure. It prevents, see here, importance of transpulmonary pressure. It prevents the collapse of the lungs by opposing the elastic recoil tendency of the lungs that tends to collapse the lungs. তাহলে এটা প্রিভেন্ট করে কি? collapse of the lungs by opposing the elastic recoil tendency. Always lung কি? elastic tissue দিয়ে তৈরি। always lung এর কি থাকে? একটা elastic expansion হয়ে again এটা নরমাল কন্ডিশনে চলে আসতে চায়। একটা রাবারকে টেনে যদি তুমি ছেড়ে দাও, it will come back to the normal resting condition. এটাকে বলা হয় কি? elastic recoil tendency. তাহলে লাং এর এই elastic recoil tendencyটাকে অপোজ করে কে? এই transpulmonary pressure. Thus it prevents the collapse of the lungs. Okay, in inspiration it increases gradually and helps to expand lungs. তাহলে দেখো, during inspiration transpulmonary প্রেসারটা কি হবে? Gradually increases and helps to expand lungs. This is very important MCQ question. In inspiration transpulmonary pressure increases gradually and helps to expand lungs, and in expiration it decreases gradually and helps to contract lungs. This is very important things. Okay, this is transpulmonary pressure. So if this question come like this, describe or draw and label the pressure change curve during inspiration and expiration. You have to draw this figure. You have to draw this figure, and also you have to write down these three things: intrapleural pressure, intra-alveolar pressure, and you have to write about transpulmonary pressure. Okay, now next question: causes of negativity of intrapleural pressure. It may come in your exam. Write down the causes of negativity of intrapleural pressure, or examiner may ask in viva that what is the causes of negativity of intrapleural pressure. That is within visceral and parietal pleura, always thin layer of fluid also present, and there is pressure is always negative. You already mentioned that. I already mentioned you that -5 centimeter of water. Why always negativity present in the intrapleural pressure? See here, any gas or fluid within the pleural cavity is absorbed into the pulmonary capillaries or carried away through the pulmonary lymphatics. That is, any gas or more fluid if present within the cavity, then and then it will be absorbed by the pulmonary capillary, or it carried out, passed away through the pulmonary lymphatics. And this continuous absorption, that is one sucker machine present within this pleural cavity space, that is, this will causes continual absorption. That is, more fluid never can present within this pleural cavity. Okay, this continual absorption produces a partial vacuum. That is, always God gifted us a suction machine within this pleural space, which function of this sucker machine, continual absorption of fluid. That is, more fluid never can present within this pleural cavity. Only thin layer of fluid present due to prevent of friction of the lungs within the chest wall. Okay, this continual absorption produces a partial vacuum, because always there is continual absorption occurs in this space through the pulmonary capillaries or through the pulmonary lymphatics, and causes visceral layer of pleura covering the lungs to adhere to parietal lining of the chest wall. It prevents there is friction of the visceral pleura with the parietal pleura. This continual absorption produces a partial vacuum, একটা খালি জায়গা তৈরি করে। ঠিক আছে, একটা negativity create this space. Thus the pressure within the pleural cavity is always negative. This is a real thing. That is in intrapleural pressure, that is between the visceral pleura and parietal pleura, there is continual absorption of fluid occurs due to suction through the pulmonary capillaries and pulmonary lymphatic. So there is negativity created within the pleural cavity, and that's why always causes of negativity of intrapleural pressure within the pleural cavity. Okay. This is very important. This is very important written question also for MCQ exam. This is last slide today. Surfactant. This is the last slide. Surfactant. Next class, next class, that is today, we'll discuss about lung volume and capacities. Lung volume and capacities. Okay, today this is the last class, surfactant. Very, very important written and question, and also for Viva exam. Please students, listen to me very carefully. Okay, surfactant. What do you mean by surfactant? Surfactant means a lipid surface tension lowering agent secreted by type 2 alveolar epithelial cell. Type 2 alveolar epithelial cell. আচ্ছা, কিছু কিছু স্টুডেন্ট আবারও চলে যাওয়া শুরু করেছে। আচ্ছা, সারফেক্ট্যান্ট, সারফেক্ট্যান্ট বলতে কি বুঝি আমরা? we already discussed in our first class that there are two types of alveolar epithelial cell, alveolar type 1 and alveolar type 2, and function of alveolar type 2 epithelial cell is main function production of surfactant. This surfactant where present, that is first layer of the respiratory membrane. When we'll discuss respiratory membrane, you will see that the lipid surface tension lowering agent, that is type 2 alveolar epithelial cell secreted one thing, surfactant, which present in the fluid layer of the respiratory membrane, that is first layer, fluid lining layer of the respiratory membrane present a surfactant. This is surface tension lowering agent. This is lipid rich, a lipid surface tension lowering agent. It is lipid rich substance, that is, it is called lipid surface tension lowering agent secreted by type 2 alveolar epithelial cell present in the fluid layer of the respiratory membrane. When we'll discuss respiratory membrane, you will that time you will understand that first layer of the respiratory membrane, there are so many layers of the respiratory membrane, but first layer, that is fluid lining layer of the respiratory membrane, contain this surfactant. Now this is the figure I have taken from 26th edition Ganang. This figure, this is very important thing, approximate composition of surfactant, and first thing is dipalmitol phosphatidylcholine. Already I have mentioned you that lipid surface tension lowering agent, that is lipid substances are more present in the surfactant, and 62% dipalmitol phosphatidylcholine for 62%. This is very important Viva question. That's which component more in surfactant? One thing, that is dipalmitol phosphatidylcholine. Please write down the pronunciation, dipalmitol phosphatidylcholine. You have to tell this. 62%, it constitutes 62% of the surfactant, dipalmitol phosphatidylcholine. Phosphatidylglycerol only 5%, other phospholipids 10%, neutral lipid 13%, proteins 8%, carbohydrate 2%, and one electrolyte present here, calcium. You have to remember this thing, only one electrolyte present, and this is negligible amount present, but one electrolyte present in surfactant, this is calcium. This is calcium, and more present dipalmitol phosphatidylcholine 62%. সবচেয়ে বেশি থাকে dipalmitol phosphatidylcholine. Now, this is very important thing. This is the last thing, physiological importance of surfactant. If the question come in your exam, just like short note about short notes on surfactant, you have to write down what is surfactant, figure of surfactant, then composition of surfactant, and physiological importance of surfactant. This is the last one, physiological importance of surfactant. This is very important Viva question, and this is my favorite Viva question. Please remember this thing. This is my one of the favorite Viva question. Please tell me the physiological importance of surfactant. First thing you have to tell here, it prevents the collapse of the lung by reducing the surface tension of the fluid lining the alveoli. Already I have mentioned that it is present in the first layer of the respiratory membrane, that is fluid lining the alveoli, and it always prevents collapse of the lung. It always prevents collapse of the lung because it reduces the surface tension. It reduces the surface tension of the fluid lining the alveoli. So it prevents collapse of the lung. This is the first thing. This is the first thing. Number two, it helps in the expansion of the lungs of newborn babies. Already I mentioned you that in fetal life, there is no respiratory movement of lungs present. লাংসের কোনো রেসপিরেটরি মুভমেন্ট ফিটাল লাইফে প্রেজেন্ট থাকে না, জাস্ট এক্সচেঞ্জ অফ গ্যাসেস অক্সিজেন এন্ড কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইড occurs through from mothers to into the fetus through প্লাসেন্টা। প্লাসেন্টা দিয়ে অক্সিজেন ঢুকবে, আবার কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইড গুলি চলে আসবে, বাট দেয়ার ইজ নো রেসপিরেটরি মুভমেন্ট অফ লাংস ইন ফিটাল লাইফ। ফিটাল লাইফে কোনো রেসপিরেটরি মুভমেন্ট থাকে না লাংসের। whenever it start, it will start after delivery. Okay, newborn babyদের দেখা যায় যে newborn babyদের expansion of the lungs occurs due to presence of surfactant. এই সারফেক্ট্যান্টের জন্যই expansion of the lungs টা হয় newborn babyদের। দেখা যায় যে আমরা যখন শেকিং করি, বেবিকে একটু শেক করি, দুই চারটা চড় থাপড় দেই, তাই না, তখন কি হয়, রেসপিরেটরি মুভমেন্টটা স্টার্ট হয় লাংসের due to presence of surfactant. When this surfactant production occurs at the 6 or 7 weeks of gestational life, ঠিক আছে, সারফেক্ট্যান্ট প্রোডাকশনটা শুরু হয় ফিটাল লাইফে। ঠিক আছে, এই সারফেক্ট্যান্টের কাজ কি? It helps in the expansion of lungs of a newborn babies. It stabilizes the size of the alveoli, helps to prevent pulmonary edema. This is very important thing. It helps to prevent pulmonary edema by reducing pulmonary capillary filtration. It increases lung compliance. What is lung compliance? Later on I will discuss with you. Surfactant deficiency is an important cause of IRDS. Surfactant কোনো বাচ্চার যদি surfactant তৈরি না হয়, they will suffer a disease like IRDS, infant respiratory distress syndrome. What do you mean by infant respiratory distress syndrome? Next class I will discuss with you what do you mean by IRDS. Just this is physiological importance of surfactant. Okay, this is all about today. Thank you everybody, thank you very much. আমি কিন্তু রোল কল করব, নেক্সট ক্লাস রোল কল করা হবে, ঠিক আছে? তোমরা কিন্তু খুব কেয়ারফুল থাকো, তোমাদের ক্লাস অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স আমরা খুব দেখছি। 75% না হলে ফার্স্ট প্রফে আমি বসতে দিব না, এটা মনে রাখবে। ফার্স্ট প্রফে বসতেই পারবে না যদি 75% পার্সেন্টেজ কারণ না থাকে। এবং তোমাদের মে মাসে পরীক্ষা, রেগুলার পরীক্ষা হয়ে যাবে। First prof examination will be held on 2020 in May. Okay, মেতে হবেই, ঠিক আছে, এটা কিন্তু মনে রাখতে হবে। 2021 সালে মেতে পরীক্ষা হয়ে যাবে। So please be careful, sincerely study all these topics.